guys, and welcome back to NoBlandMakeup, where we do makeup and body paint tutorials, usually with a cosplay twist. Today is not one of those days. Today I felt like doing a hot pink smoky eye months ago, and recently I felt like editing it. But before we get to the tutorial slash get ready with me, I have a shop open up on Teespring, so if you guys want to support the channel, you want to get some cool stuff like stickers and t-shirts and hoodies and things, check out teespring.com/NoBlandMerch. I'll have the link down below if you guys are interested. But back to what you're actually here for. Hey guys, I'm doing another Get Ready With Me campaign. Not that most of my tutorials on Get Ready With Me is anyway, technically, because I do leave. But my green string is in the corner. I don't want to pull it out, so yeah. I have to leave my house by 3:30 to get to work on time. It is 2:37. I just finished straightening my hair, and I'm gonna put some oil in it because the ends are really dry. This is the downside of bleaching your hair, is your ends get really freaking dry. I mean, there's not much I can do about it. Just put oil in it and hope for the best. Because most of my ends aren't that bad, it's just this patch right here. It's like sticking to itself. That was way too much. Moderation is key, people. I had a pressure on here somewhere. Look for that later. Yeah, so I have the Sephora Pro palette in front of me, literally. So I guess we're gonna play with this today. Yeah, or I have these two, because I'm pretty sure the last time I was getting ready for work, I used a combination of these two. Oh. If you point thrown into the light, it looks kind of blue, but then when you look at it straight on, it's more green. Random things I notice. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna play with the Sephora Pro palette. I'm gonna get ready for work. So I'll have the voiceover tell you what I'm doing, because it's one of those days. Alright, and I'll see you guys at the end of the video when I don't look so crazy. I think I'm gonna go to work exactly like this. Have this part just go. That's gonna be a look. Hey guys, as promised, voiceover. So I'm gonna start off by moisturizing my face. Obviously, I did this video a while ago because I'm way more awake right now. I'm drinking my coffee and I'm happy. But I'm moisturizing with the Water Balm from Sonia Mazzelli. Any kind of moisturizer would work. Doesn't matter what your skin type is. You still want to add moisture to your skin, especially if you have more oily skin. That kind of trains your skin to not freak out and think it's drying up. Whereas my skin is more dry and doesn't matter if it's freaking out or not, it just refuses to produce any moisture for me. Now here I'm using the Tarte Rainforest to the Sea foundation. I actually like this one. For me it's hydrating enough, but I don't know, it's weird because it kind of dries to a matte finish, but you still have a little bit of a glow, so that's pretty much why I like it. This is a lot of foundation, I'm not gonna lie. Just letting you know. And I know some people are wondering, how the hell do you remember what exactly you used so long ago? The simple answer is that I wrote it down. The not so simple answer is sometimes I actually do remember. I have a weird memory for stuff like that. But you're gonna go ahead and blend out your foundation. I would not do what I did here and just load my face up. I would start with a little and then just add in places where you need it. Just because for people who are worried about getting a cake face, that kind of eliminates that. And there's less to kind of have to maintain throughout the day. And although I work at Sephora, there is like, when we're busy, there's no time to even breathe. You're working with 6 people at a time. You don't have time to touch up. So was this a mistake? Probably. And now, because my face doesn't look weird enough, I'm going in with the Bourjois concealer. This one is way too light for me on its own, so I mix it with a little bit of the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. It kind of balances itself out, so I get the coverage I want, but it's also light enough to highlight. If I want to go with a little more of a noticeable kind of makeup, this is what I'll do. And yes, I'm using an Eevee blender. Sometimes I like to use it. Honestly, I was using that for a long time, and then I kind of got in the habit of using a beauty blender. The thing that annoys me with the beauty blender is I keep forgetting to wet it before I sit down to do my makeup, so I keep having to get up. And with the Eevee blender, you don't necessarily have to do that. Granted, it doesn't pick up any excess anything, so if that's an issue for you, you apply a little bit too much, I would definitely go with more of a sponge-like texture instead of a silicone thing, but that's just me. Now I'm going to go ahead and set everything with some powder. This one is the NoBlend setting powder. This one I actually like a lot. I have to get a new one. I just recently almost ran out and I'm kind of scared. Next, I'm gonna do some quick contouring. I really am just bronzing, if I'm being really honest. I just took some Hoola bronzer and applied that to where you would normally contour, so the edges of the face, the jawline, and what is this called? The hollows of your cheeks. There you go. I swear I had coffee today. But I went ahead and lightly blended that. Not lightly blended it, but lightly applied it to those points, and yeah, just made sure everything was nicely blended out. Now this one's an oldie but a goodie. If you've been around my channel for a while, you've probably been here more than I have lately. But I applied some of the Frat Boy blush on my cheeks. A little bit too much if you ask me, but that's what happens every time I apply blush. Next thing I'm going to do is my brows, because if we're going to do a super intense look, you need to balance out everything that's going on in your face. So I decided to fill my brows in, not necessarily a little bit darker than normal, but a tad bit darker than normal. What I do when I fill in my brows is I just draw in little lines, almost like hairs, and then I'll flip the brush around, or the pencil around, and use the spoolie on the other side to blend everything in and just make everything really, like, I wouldn't say neat, but to make it look a little bit less like it's been filled in. I have really thick eyebrows, so if you have some more sparse brows, this is probably not going to work for you. Just being honest. If anything, you might want to do the same kind of technique, but with something a little bit stronger, like a brow pomade, like the Dip Brow or the Ka-Brow. Either one of those would be a good idea. I also went in with some Gimme Brow. This is coming back, and I'm so happy because mine is almost out, and I almost started crying. If I don't want to do all of this, I will usually just take the Gimme Brow, run it through my brows backwards just to fluff them up a little bit, and then run it forwards to smooth them out. But today is obviously not a lazy brow day, so there you go. Alright, so if you made this far, I applaud you, and if you skipped ahead, I don't blame you. But we're gonna go ahead and prime our eyes with some primer potion. This will just make everything stick a little better, be a little bit more true to color. If you really want to make this pop though, you can always take a little bit of white eyeliner or a white base and just apply that on the lid, and you will get so much more color payoff. It will be intense. But this was pretty intense to begin with, so let go. Alright, so once I primed my eyes, I took a hot pink and I applied this in the outer corner of my eyeball. This is one of those colors you really want to build up and take some time blending out, because as you can see, it was kind of skipping a little bit on the inner part. So you really want to take your time and build it up and blend so that we have more control of the eyeshadow. And this is going to sound weird, but because I wanted to stick to the same palette, I took more of the coral shade and used that as my blending kind of transition shtick. so that way everything was blended out a little bit more, and I kind of got the look that I was going for, basically. You guys know me, my looks, I tend to not like super harsh lines. I don't really do cut creases that often, so this is kind of my thing. Also, if somebody can do a parody of Lady Gaga's Edge of Glory but call it the Edge of Being in Frame and just send it to me, that would be great. Next, what I did was take a little bit of a darker pink. It's more like a magenta almost, I don't know, and I applied that on the outer corner just to give me a little bit more definition. I still wanted to keep with the hot pink smoky eye kind of deal, but yeah. And then I went ahead and blended it so that that edge right on the side wasn't so harsh. I have OCD about things like that, but as someone who does makeup on other people, that's a good thing. I haven't had anybody complain yet, so there's that. So once you're done blending, it should look a bit like this, you know, just a little bit. And then if you want to kind of add a little bit more of that darker color just to darken it up a little bit more, you can. Good thing about looks like these is they're very adjustable, so if you wanted to make it look a little bit more wearable, you can probably tone it down a bit. If you wanted to go all out like me, you can always tone it up a couple notches as well. And then what I did, and this is probably my favorite part, I took the lighter of the hot pink thing and put that on the remaining space, and this looked so cool to me for some reason. I don't know why, it just kind of did. Once again, just make sure that everything is nicely blended together, because like I said, this is not a super cut crease or anything kind of look. Take your time when it comes to blending. It will pay off in the end. In this palette, they had a couple Transformer shades. I decided to go with the pink one, because, you know, pink. And I applied that on the middle part of the lid to kind of give a halo effect. Kind of give it a little something else. Mostly, I just wanted to use them and see how they looked, and it actually looks pretty nice. If you don't have a Transformer shade like this, you can always use a bit of a white eyeshadow mixed with the pink just to give you that lighter color, and you get the same kind of like idea of a lighter color on there. It just won't be one of the like shimmery ones. But it is what it is. It'll still look cool. I think so anyway. Out of frame for a good chunk of this next part, so it'll tell you what I did. I applied some white base on my lower lash line, and then I took some of the lime green eyeshadow, which is gorgeous by the way, and I applied that on my lower lash line, kind of giving you a watermelon kind of look, kind of just matching my hair, which at this point literally everything I did matched my hair. And then I applied some eyeliner, just in a wing kind of fashion. If you don't want to do a winged eyeliner, you don't have to. You can also do more like a smudged out kind of smoky liner. That would also look cool, and I'm kind of mad that it took me like, what, 2 more months after I did this to figure that out? Yeah, I'm kind of mad. That would look cool though. So if you guys do that, please tag me on Instagram. I really want to see that. And then I applied probably the biggest pair of false lashes I have ever applied to my small eyes. Yes, lash size and the fullness and everything like that matters depending on your eye shape and your eye size. Some of them might be a little bit too big, like these. They're from Huda Beauty, they're those Samantha lashes, and I want to love them. Not that they look bad, they actually look really nice. But my eyeball got eaten by these lashes. I look like I can fly away, so if you have smaller lashes, I'd probably go with something a little less intense. But if you want to have some fun, life's too short, why don't you just try them just to see what happens. And if you guys want a full video on my tips and tricks for applying false eyelashes, I'll have those linked in the cards up above you somewhere. And then in my typical fashion, I applied some mascara just to blend my real and fake lashes together, and also to give my lower lashes a little bit of love, because Lord knows they need them. Anytime I do anything on my bottom lash line, they just disappear. And then for my lips, I applied it's called Nude Sticks. This lip pencil. I'll have the exact color for you guys down the bottom somewhere. This color is actually, I think it's burgundy. Because when it dries down a little bit darker than the way it applies, but I love that color so much. Hopefully that is what I have on my mouth, otherwise it's going to be really embarrassing. But yeah, that's basically it. That's all I got, dude. Haha, just kidding. When I finished putting my lipstick on, I realized that it didn't look good together, so I went with something else that I actually recently got from a gig. I decided to go with the ombre lip thing from Smashbox. I'll have the exact name and color and everything down below for you guys. With this, it does have the darker color on the top, which is great when you're doing your top lip. When you're doing your bottom lip, you have to keep flipping it, so just keep that in mind, otherwise it's going to be a little backwards. But it was okay. It wasn't a complete train wreck like some of the other products like that, but I think it went better with the look that I was going for, to be honest. And then I just applied some floss over it, because why not at this point? But that is the completed look, so I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. I definitely had fun doing it. If you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so YouTube knows that you actually meant it. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what kind of weird combination things you would like to see next, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!